Hello everyone, I'm Bablet Jonathan and this is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox television live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. In our top stories in this edition of the news, the Archbishop Emeritus of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church says only dialogue and equal sharing is the way out of the deepening socio-political and security tensions eating up the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon. The northwest and the southwest regions. Christian Cardinal Tumi was speaking during the 10th anniversary of the St. John's Parish in Bedi here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. And out of the country, the military and the opposition coalition in Sudan have agreed on a coalition transitional government that will end the crisis that has been rocking that country for several months today. Christian Cardinal Tumi, Archbishop Emeritus of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese, has said that only dialogue and equal sharing can put an end to the conflicts in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. The crisis that has been pulling on for close to 3 years today, leaving several persons dead, hundreds of thousands dead, and of course hundreds of thousands displaced, many handicapped by the gun battles that has been going on between separatist fighters and elements of the national armed forces in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. The Archbishop was speaking over the weekend during the 10th anniversary of the St. John's Parish in Bedi here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
Christian Cardinal Tumi, Archbishop Emeritus of Douala, will not stop decrying the Anglophone crisis until a genuine and lasting solution is gotten, as he has done everywhere possible. The man of God, during an occasion to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the St. John's Parish, Bedi in Douala, challenged Cameroonians on their respective roles in the worsening Anglophone crisis. Christian Cardinal Tumi questioned the unequal sharing of the Cameroonian cake, saying dialogue and equal opportunities remain the only way out of the increasing bloodbath in Cameroon. The man of God insisted that the Cameroonian heritage belongs to all and should not be hijacked by a few. To him, resources of every nation has always been to the benefit of every citizen, irrespective of their socio-political, socio-economic or socio-cultural standing, and Cameroon should not be an exception. Christian Cardinal Tumi is the leader of the Anglophone General Conference initiative, which for over 3 years has not been organized for reasons unknown to non-members. The AGC, as it is called, has been widely supported in and out of Cameroon as a way out of the worsening Anglophone crisis.
And with the situation worsening in the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon, some students of the Fumban Bilingual High School met in that part of the West region to discuss possible solutions. And according to the students, it will be good for Cameroonians, notably all the stakeholders, to meet again in the historic town of Fumban to chart the way out of the crisis. Hermin Iluga reports.
History has it, the Fumban Constitutional Conference of July 1961 brought to limelight the union between West Cameroon and East Cameroon. It had a delegation from West Cameroon led by John Gu Foncha, meeting another delegation from the East Cameroon. The focal point was to decide on the future of Cameroon, given that after the World War II, nationalism and the search for self-rule was born. Counting years after the Fumban Conference, ex-students of the Fumban Bilingual High School deemed it wise to reflect over the country's burning issues in relation to the ongoing crisis. To them, Fumban remains a reference place for peace talks. According to one of the actors, it is believed that the answer to the ongoing crisis rocking Cameroon would be in a meeting held in Fumban, and this retracing aspects mentioned within the Fumban conference. Aligned to this, the Fumban community has this far welcomed countless number of internally displaced persons from the northwest and southwest regions who have little or no assurance of returning to their homes unless peace returns. And with the crisis impacting the country's economy and stability, ex-students call on the government to give it a try in retracing history, notably talks surrounding the Fumban conference, which might bring positive answers to Cameroonians.
Authorities continue pressing for an effective back-to-school come September 2nd, 2019. That's for the 2019-2020 academic year. And some of the authorities have begun threatening parents and school officials to be present on campus on day one and throughout the academic year, or they will be sanctioned. This is a warning that came from the senior divisional officer of the Indian Division, Fowang Lawrence, during his back-to-school campaign through his area of command, and he warned parents and school officials and of course the teachers to be present on campus despite the unstable and disturbing security situation in the region. We have details in this report by our Southwest correspondent Derek Jato.
Mondemba, chieftain of Indian Division, in pictures. People going about their activity, many of which are new ones. After Pamol, their number one employer here was shut down because of the Anglophone crisis. Also present in his office and going about the government assignment here is Mr. Fowang Lawrence, the senior divisional officer for Indian Division, who in few words paints the security atmosphere of his area of command.
Indian as of today is very, very calm. The forces of defense and security are doing a wonderful job on the field. I also want to say that I use this occasion of my tour to all the subdivisions to call on our brothers and sisters who carry arms against the state to drop them.
He says after his back-to-school campaign tour, Indian Division is positive for September 2nd.
Parents have now seen the need to send their children to school. And at this moment that I speak to you, most of the campuses have been kept clean under the supervision of the various subdivisional officers.
And to the school administrators, playtime is over.
I'm also calling on the school administrators as well as school teachers to respect the calendar of activities scrupulously. I dare say to respect them scrupulously. I will not tolerate any administrator or any teacher to be absent in school.
For now, holidays activities are on, especially for the youth.
A tournament organized by Minister Ebune Confiance Balongole is what is the talk of the day in Indian Division.
For 3 years now, separatists have been able to shut down schools in the two Anglophone regions. And for this 2019-2020 academic year, the Cameroon government is gearing up for effective school resumption come September 2nd, 2019.
The Southwest Governor's Office is still mourning the death of the Chief of Cabinet of Governor Bena Okalia Bilai. He died in an accident over the weekend. Derek Jato once more files in details from Boya.
Mr. Tangwa Stephanus, the Chief of Cabinet at the Southwest Governor's Office, is dead. His car crashed here in Moleko, meters away from the Cameroon GCE Board head office, and he did not survive.
That's my brother's son, and that's my brother's son. I just got up this morning. I was going up to my family to pick up something for them in the taxi. I had a about a horrible accident. Oh God, listen. Then the taxi man was like trying to tell me that. I asked him what has happened. As he said that, chief. I said, chief what? Chief of cabinet. I don't know, the thing just occurred to me. I asked, was it a black rough car? They say yes. That's how I got the news. Until I went to the scene and I saw to it. It's true. That is true. That is exactly what they told me. It's true.
Witnesses say the accident took place around 4 a.m. breaking Sunday, August 4, 2019. And this is the state of the car. The Moleko Police Station and the Buya Council are restoring circulation and order. And the corpse of Mr. Tangwa Stephanus, the Chief of Cabinet at the Southwest Governor's Office, has already been deposited at the Buya Mortuary. Authorities of the Southwest region, friends and family members are finding it difficult to accept that Mr. Tangwa Stephanus has left them to the world beyond. At his residence, the shocking exit of a good neighbor is raining down tears. And at press time, there was no official statement from the government. Mr. Tangwa Stephanus hails from Bui Division in the northwest region of Cameroon.
This new divisional officer of the Uri Division, Joseph Mache Bertrand, has banned the circulation of heavy-duty trucks at the east entrance into Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, between 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. And this is as a result of the heavy traffic jam that has made traveling into and out of Douala more or less a nightmare. Immaculate Fogo paints the picture in this report.
The line is long and almost endless. All types of vehicles trapped in dense traffic jam on the east entrance into Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. They are queued up like this on the Bonadis Tradex Yesa stretch of road on the Douala-Yaoundé highway from dawn to dusk.
C'est vraiment un calvaire.
The situation is further complicated by the ongoing rehabilitation works on this part of the east entrance and exit from the town of Douala and the Nyala Chateau stretch of road. With circulation completely interrupted from Dokoti through Nyala to Yesa, all vehicles heading to the center, east, south, the three northern regions and other Central African countries are compelled to use the road linking the Nelson Mandela runabout and Yesa, thus the dense traffic. Travelers spend several hours between Bonadis and Tradex Yesa. I left Carrefour B at 5:30 p.m. and got here at 1:45 a.m.
J'arrive ici à 1h45 le matin. C'est terrible.
The severe traffic jam has provoked a slump in business along this part of the National Highway number 3.
Every day, that is as the ambulance started, when they block the other side of the road to walk the bridge. So we cannot walk freely because the vehicle cannot park here so that customer can come and buy. Nobody is trespassing when the rains also are falling. No, there's too much mud. Nobody can cross the roadside or nobody can also cross this way. Things are very slow because customers are not coming. We cannot stay a day off to the amount of money that can really feed the family. My boss cannot go to the market to go and buy because the ambulance will block him on the way. He cannot come back very fast so that we can walk. So things are just blocked like that. We are no longer really walking that way.
There are fears that, everything being equal, transport fare will likely increase, especially when the next school year takes off September 2nd.
And Cameroon's Minister of Public Works will be in Douala tomorrow by 10:30, and he will be taking stock of the situation at the west entrance into the town of Douala, notably with regards to the ongoing rehabilitation works that has provoked the heavy traffic jam in that part of the town of Douala. On to something else now. Housing and Urban Development Minister and other state authorities failed to comment on the series of conflicts that retarded or delayed the rehabilitation of low-cost houses in the Mbanga Bakoko here in Douala during a recent visit. And speaking to the press during a ceremony to hand over keys to occupants, actors in the chain rather praise President Paul Biya's effort to construct the houses for Cameroonians, and we have details with EQUINOXE.
While state officials took the address floor during the ceremony to hand over keys of low-cost houses constructed to first occupants at Mbanga Bakoko in Douala, Littoral region, the press was keen on the conflict surrounding the realization of the project. But none of the chain actors made a statement on the subject matter. All of the speakers rather applauded the head of state's subvention and efforts in facilitating the realization of the project.
Very proud to be in Douala today and hand over the keys to many Cameroonians who pay for more than, let's say, 9 years and were waiting to get their key and get in their houses that the head of state promised to them. What the president promised to them happened very quick.
Sources hint the low-cost houses cost 45,000 million francs CFA for wealthier persons and a minimum of 17 million francs CFA for an apartment with 3 rooms and a parlor is to be paid by occupants like this man.
Pour moi personnellement, je ne pensais pas que ce soit un logement, que ce soit social.
17 million francs, he shouts, is a heavy load on a Cameroonian.
Pour un Camerounais, s'il n'est pas un vrai Camerounais, un battant et tout, même un simple fonctionnaire ne peut pas.
In Mbanga Bakoko, 51 persons who paid for the low-cost houses are warned by the Minister of Housing and Urban Development.
I will take these opportunities to say to those who are entering these premises without any authorization that I will not accept anymore any squatter. Every month, we will do our best to make sure that people who pay, as you have understood, more than 650 people pay for these houses. So every month, we'll try to make sure that people get their keys and they get in their houses.
In all, 200 low-cost houses in Cameroon have been finished and delivered to the government, and 1,835 are yet to be accomplished. 35 billion francs CFA is the sum that has been invested. In Douala, unlike Yaoundé, the projects to construct low-cost houses launched in 2010 will be realized according to the optimistic minister.
C'est pas rien, c'est un début. Il était important de montrer que ces logements sont là.
When accomplished, she says, will serve Cameroonians in need of where to stay.
Chercher un logement décent.
The press is still keen on circumstances that led to late realization of the 10,000 low-cost houses planned to be constructed in Douala and Yaoundé amid public criticisms.
Sudan's military and opposition coalition have agreed on a constitutional declaration. The agreement will start a new period of a joint transitional government. Courtesy Euronews.
Sudan's military and pro-democracy coalition have reached an agreement on a new period of transitional government. The agreement came after weeks of negotiations. A mediator from the African Union announced it early on Saturday morning. In the name of the two negotiating parties, to announce to the Sudanese public, the national, international, and African public, that the two delegations have completely agreed on a constitutional declaration. People gathered in the streets to celebrate, chanting, "We are victorious." Sudan has been in a state of political turmoil since the army ousted long-standing leader Omar al-Bashir. But now, once the transitional government starts work, Sudan will embark on a 3-year transition period expected to lead to elections.
That's it for the first part of this newscast. Coming up next is Talking Point. We are receiving a veteran journalist, spokesperson of the Anglophone General Conference. Eli Smith, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You listened to the senior divisional officer of the Indian division in the crisis-hit southwest region of the country. First, he said the region or the division is calm, and then he instructed parents or school officials to go to school come September 2nd, 2019, or they will face sanctions. What's your reaction to that?
Well, sometimes I think, and that's the reason why we have problems today, because most people, because of their own career projects or trajectory, they are ready to say whatever thing that comes to their mind. It's between his own, it's between perception and reality. I don't have anything to say is that those who live in Indian division know the reality. Everybody wants classes to resume, but in this campaign...
What's the reality?
The reality is that the place is not as stable as the senior divisional officer for Indian division was claiming. He knows the truth, so I don't want to come and react to it, because as for one, everybody knows that we want classes to resume, but there is a prerequisite for it to resume. We don't want it to be, and those are the type of things, sincerely, that where someone wants to go around, run his mouth willy-nilly, simply because he wants to carry a flag of victory. This thing hasn't gotten to have anything of victor or vanquish. We need people to go to school, yes, but there are some prerequisites needed for classes to resume.
And you said he knows the truth. And the question somebody who's listening to you now will want to ask is, if he knows the truth, why would he say that the area is calm? What could possibly be the reason why, if he knows that it's not calm, and then he's saying it's calm? Why?
I will respond by taking an example, and the senior divisional officer for Bui is alive. Cardinal Christian Toomey is equally alive. The thing is that most of these divisional officers don't want to speak the truth. There's one that Cardinal Toomey met in Kumbo, who said he cannot report the reality to Yaoundé, because if he does that, he will be considered like Cardinal Toomey, which means that they try to lie to please themselves and the administration. That's something which is not good. You know, to solve a problem is by accepting the reality, not a reality dictated by you or a narrative that you fabricate to suit yourself.
You'll be considered like Cardinal Toomey? What's the meaning of that?
It was a metaphor. Yes, you know, Cardinal Toomey, some people talk about him without even ever having met him. One example is Madame. She's my friend, my sister, Marlies Bell, the MP for Douala here. When hasn't she come on your channel here and on other channels like others and say things without having ever met with Cardinal Toomey? So the case of the senior divisional officer for Bui was that he was a lonesome cowboy in his office. He said all the elites of Bui division who could leave or have left, but he cannot report that accurately to Yaoundé. And live, we are seeing the similar thing now happening with this senior divisional officer from Indian division. It doesn't all go well. When we want stability, when we want peace to return somewhere, we must have the courage to speak the truth.
And other observers like yourself, like Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, like Barrister Tabisong and many others have been saying that the fact that people are not speaking the truth or are speaking half-truths has contributed a lot to further worsen the situation.
Exactly, sir. You know, the problem with Cameroonians and most people who are running our countries, or our country in particular, is that we most often think about ourselves before thinking about the country. And in this crisis, one of the reasons why this crisis has been going on in perpetuity is simply because of monumental or gross lies telling, trying to tinker with the truth. You don't tinker with the truth. If you tinker with the truth, you will have what we have right now. And when you speak the truth, for those who are Christians, it shall set you free. And speaking the truth is also synonymous to patriotism and cannot by any stretch of interpretation be misinterpreted or misconstrued as being anti-patriotic.
And even though many of those who have been speaking the truth, according to them, are considered like as enemies of the nation, are considered like people who don't want things to return to normalcy, who want to destabilize the country and so on. You equally listen to Christian Cardinal Tumi, the Archbishop Emeritus of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church, during the celebration of the 10th anniversary of the St. John's Parish in Bedi here in Douala, and he highlighted the responsibility of every Cameroonian in this situation, in restoring normalcy. According to you, what is expected of every Cameroonian in the present context? Certainly there's nobody who is happy about the number of deaths that have been recorded on both sides, separatists, the civilians, the military, and so on. So what are Cameroonians expected to do in this context? Can they really do anything in any way?
Sure, Cameroonians have to do something. He who doesn't say something in face of injustice is part of is cooperating or helping to perpetuate or encourage injustice to continue. Cameroonians need to be patriotic. Patriotism means to love your country. Loving your country means speaking the truth. And when you speak the truth, there's invariably going to be justice. And when there's justice, there's going to be peace.
But the problem is that the truth sometimes puts you in danger, either on the other side, on the left or on the right. The truth either puts you at loggerheads with either the separatists, the military on the other side, or the government authorities.
But there's one person who's not a Cameroonian. His name is Marien Gwabi, I think the second or third president of the Republic of Congo, who said any patriotic person who loves his country must pay the ultimate price. Speak the truth and bear the brunt of what is going to happen. The thing is, as we have been saying, we can be perorating around saying whatever thing we like to say. The cause of this crisis, as we have been saying from word go, from the day one we began this movement, is the infidelity to the fundamental law that created this country in 1961. Any other person who says the contrary is a liar. And on the other hand, when you yourself, as a government, you decide to tinker with the law, you create your own law of 1996, and you fail to apply it, what do you want? How do you expect the country to be? Now it is, as the Cardinal said it's on to every Cameroonian to think about the future. Do they want the country to stay in this current dispensation, or, as I've also been saying it, I'm saying it again, or you want it to become second Ethiopia, Sudan, or Eritrea, or whatever? But you can always look at an example of Tanzania. It's an African country, because we think that most of our crises should be African-oriented.
All right, we're going to wrap up with another issue highlighted by the Cardinal: dialogue and equal sharing.
Yes, dialogue is very important. We began this program, when we began the AGC, we have always said, and when we began saying it, that dialogue is the only solution to this crisis. People call us names. People came here, the file pass, make a campaign of calumny with all sorts of vituperations against us, and we have discovered that it's only dialogue. The most strongest country on earth is the United States of America. There's no country in the world. Sometimes I hear people talk about Russia or China. They cannot stand the firepower of the United States. But the United States was unable to win in Vietnam. Let's say Vietnam might be very far. Just recently in Iraq, against Al-Mutasadaq, the United States could not do anything. And we are seeing the United States currently dialoguing with the Taliban of Afghanistan. That's the only country in the world where all the powers from Alexander the Great, the British, like what happened in 1880 in the Battle of Jalalabad, all of them have been defeated in Afghanistan. So the United States wants dialogue. What about us? It is only through dialogue that we can succeed in bringing back peace in this country. Dialogue and truth.
And of course, equal sharing of the national cake.
Of course, if you have a part of the country which is being cheated upon by a happy few, is bound to create what is going on today, but we think it is dialogue and only dialogue that can solve the problems of Cameroon.
Thanks for coming, Eli Smith. You're a veteran journalist and spokesperson of the EGC.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.